Welcome to another episode of The Modern Hotelier. This is an episode of Hospitality Hot Topics. What happened in the month of September? Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think about today's episode. For September's Hot Topics, we are joined by Anthony Melchiorri. Anthony, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
What's up? Is this live? Is this a podcast? Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Your first one, I'm sure.
How do you do this?
Talking to the mic.
I'm sure you'll get a hang of it pretty quick, Anthony. So to kick off the first topic of what's going on in September in hospitality, still we are dealing with labor shortages. New projections came out. Hotels are projected to employ about 2.17 million people this year, well below the 2.37 million people employed in 2019. And 71% of hotels are reporting unfilled positions. Anthony, I'm kicking over to you first. What do you think about labor shortages? Are we ever going to get out of this slump?
Well, we had labor shortages before the pandemic. We'll have labor shortages to the day I die. 71% of hotels reporting labor shortages. I think it's more like 100% because, I mean, there's not a hotel I walk into, and I do a lot of consulting, that aren't short labor. You know, we're about to make an announcement. I'm putting my name on an AI product, and somebody said to me, well, that's taking away jobs. I think, no, it's supporting people at the front desk to help them actually provide service, because we've all been at hotels, the best hotels in the world. Please hold, please hold, please hold. And you're standing in front of an agent and they're on the phone, or you're on the phone and they don't get back to you for 20 minutes because they're dealing with a guest. So I think AI is going to help. So when you look at AI, you're not taking jobs away in most part in the hospitality industry. You're supporting the hospitality industry. But way before there was a thing called AI, way before COVID, we were always short-staffed. I mean, it was, you know, and not we're only short-staffed, we're short in talent. So even when you find people to fill the body, supervisors and managers are so desperate to find people, they're settling. So you're seeing mediocrity settle in. So anything we can do to support the teams so we can get the best people. So it's okay to be short-staffed, because if you have short-staff and somebody at the front desk says, oh, I'm so sorry, can I place you on hold for just a moment? Or can they take your number and call you back? Or if you're in line waiting and saying, just give me 1 second, sir, would you like a bottle of water? I'll be with you in a second. You can be short-staffed, but if that person's well-trained and that person cares about their job, we don't mind. It's not only being short-staffed, it's hiring mediocre people and expecting them to perform at a higher level. That's our real crisis. It's not being short-staffed. It's our training. The first thing we lose is training. That's the biggest problem in our industry.
Well said, Anthony. And before I kick it over to you, David, one of the
course
things
it was well said. I said it.
In the article where younger workers continue to avoid the industry, citing low wages and limited career stability. So I think you're hitting the nail on the head. David, what are we thinking here on labor shortages?
Well, I mean, you guys covered it. I think we cover it almost every time we talk about to somebody or on the podcast. But the one thing that was interesting, somebody just told me yesterday, I won't name the hotel group, but a large hotel brand in Las Vegas is laying off 800 people. So I know that's an anomaly and that's Vegas, but it is interesting how in some markets it's, you know, not only there's a shortage, but we're actually creating and laying off people at the same time. So
yeah, but I also think that those 800 people are going to get their jobs back when it gets busy, which usually happens. And, you know, Vegas, you know, I just came back from Vegas and I'm going to Vegas in a couple of weeks. Yes, they have to run at such high occupancies in order to pay the bills. So if you're running at 98% in some of these big hotels, basically 2% is your margin of profit. So if you drop below 94, 93%, that's a problem, because that's when you're not really making money. And so, yeah, I listen, I think this is ebbs and flows. We've been in this business for 40 years. I've been in this business for 40 years. It's ebbs and flows. So everybody wants to make a crisis bigger than it is. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying we're not having labor shortages. I'm not saying we're not laying people off. But this is business. You know, it ebbs and flows.
Yeah, and so something I was surprised to see is that with the U.S. government shutdown, not millions, there's claims now it's going to be costing billions of dollars to the hospitality industry. What do you think about that, Steve? It's kind of a staggering number.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the other government shutdown, back in 2018, 2019, that lasted about a month. This one, interesting. I'm not in DC for this one, in Colorado. I guess maybe I didn't realize how much national parks were going to be affected during this. 433 parks are going to be shut down or not have any visitor services available. The president and CEO of U.S. Travel Association, Jeff Freeman, said a shutdown is a preventable blow to America's travel economy, costing $1 billion every week, affecting millions of travelers and businesses while placing an unnecessary strain on an already overextended travel workforce. This is also going to affect TSA. So your TSA workers, when you go through the airport, are no longer going to be paid. So I am glad I'm not traveling or flying over the next few weeks. Anthony, what do you think about this? How is this
Well,
going
I'm
to
sorry, I
affect
had
the
to say
travel
goodbye to my
industry?
daughter. My daughter's going to the Hamptons for the weekend, so her travel plans aren't getting interrupted. My other daughter's going to Costa Rica tomorrow. And, I told her, I said, I'll drive you to the airport at 6:00. It's 3 hours before you have to take off. She goes, no, an Uber's taking us at 5:30. So she's preparing herself, hopefully she doesn't have any travel issues, and hopefully, all goes smoothly. Listen, again, we've had how many government shutdowns? 15, 20, 30 government shutdowns. In his first presidency, his first term, he had the longest shutdown. So this might be the second longest or the longest one in history. And we all have to, the great thing about our travel industry is we're so used to getting darts thrown at our forehead that it's just another thing we have to deal with. Whether it be, what happened on 9/11, what happened in 2008, what happened, every couple of years there's a recession, COVID. Our industry gets hit all the time, and I think we're probably the most flexible business people in business because we have to deal with high occupancies overnight quickly, and we have to deal with low occupancies overnight really quickly. So I think we're just so used to it. I just don't like when people make everything the world is coming to an end. We just have to adjust. That's what we do as business people. It sucks. This shutdown sucks, and we have to adjust to it.
Well, kind of another thing, not to pile on travel of bad news, but as far as there's a new visa law in place and another hurdle for international travelers that might delay them getting their visas. One stat that I saw was international tourism is at an 8.2% decline. International tourists spend about $181 billion in 2024. So looks like we're going to lose about $3.6 billion for this $250 visa integrity fee. David, what do we think about international tourism? We going to see a bounce back coming up here, or how are these visas going to play a role here?
The visas are going to play a role. I think there's also outbound for us. There could be some new visas that we normally haven't had to had, but I think, just in general, I mean, I'd love for us to see and get back to kind of a little bit more of a norm and a little more of an openness and people wanting to come here without additional hurdles coming to the States. So, like as Anthony said, there's always challenges. There's always issues. We're resilient as an industry, but I personally know, like when I have to go to Brazil and get a visa, it's a real pain in the neck. And so for me, I would rather be more open and less restrictive when it comes to visas.
I think it's the visas. I think it's also people are seeing what's going on in America right now, and they're feeling a little like hesitant to come. But also in the last couple of years, I mean, how many people do you know in the last 3 years have been to Greece, Spain, Italy? They've been everywhere. But you're starting to see that trend where people are traveling domestically. So hopefully we can pick up some of that business that we're losing domestically, and not every one of your friends are going to be in Greece or Spain or Italy, although this friend, me, will be in Italy in April. So,
All right, good. And so along with that, talking about domestic travel, holiday travel trends and the prices are through the roof. For me, even I find it very interesting as I travel that rates are expensive everywhere. I mean, for the most part. I mean, we were just in Miami, rates were expensive. I'm looking to go to Vegas next week, rates are expensive. But they're saying that the holidays this year for Thanksgiving and Christmas are going to be super expensive. So, Steve, where are you going for the holidays, and are you going to be spending a lot of money on a hotel room?
I'm road tripping out to Wisconsin for holiday season and staying in Colorado. So I don't have to worry about this, which I'm excited about. But I feel like people just are booking earlier and earlier and earlier, trying to get these affordable tickets. Thanksgiving travel's up 7%. Holiday travel around Christmas is up 7%. Or sorry, Thanksgiving's 10%. Christmas and holidays are 7%. So people for the holidays are booking now. I think we're just going to get to the point where right after Christmas or the holidays, we're just going to have to book our plane ticket for the next year to get ahead of these high fares. Anthony, what about you?
The problem is AI is making it impossible to get ahead of any high fares. Revenue management was great the last 20 years. It's improved significantly. AI is going to make it impossible to get ahead of anything. And so, I'm going away for the first time ever. We're renting a house with a family, and we're upstate. And it was expensive. It wasn't a great house. It wasn't the most beautiful house, but just for 3 days was really expensive. And I was watching something on somewhere on social media where Bobby Flay says it's expensive to go to dinner. He goes, he thinks twice before going out to dinner because just your regular Tuesday night, it costs you over $100 a person for a regular restaurant on a Tuesday night. That's Bobby Flay, who's worth probably $30 million. So maybe more. And he's concerned, and he runs restaurants, and he's like, when you spend $100 per person in a nice restaurant, and not a fancy restaurant, when we were growing up, right? When you were 25 years old and you took your girlfriend out and you spent $100 for the check, that was like the fanciest restaurant in New York City. Now you spend $100 to go to breakfast. I took my kids out, the 5 of us, we went out for breakfast. I think it was $350 for breakfast. It's insane. And so I don't think it's going to change. And I think there's going to be a moment where there's got to be some kind of change and some kind of shift. And what happens is you have inflation, and then things drop, and then people have to drop their prices on hotel rooms because the occupancy is down. And again, it's all hopefully it all works out in the wash like it always does. But it is very expensive to travel, and it's very expensive to go out to dinner. That's where I noticed it more because I haven't really traveled outside of business. I haven't been really on a vacation in a very long time, but it's going to a restaurant. I just went to a restaurant with my daughter this morning for breakfast after the gym, and I was shocked. I looked at the bill. My daughter said, I think they missed something. So it was $44, and we had steak and eggs, both of us. And we looked, it was $44. And we looked at the check, and I was like, they forgot things. So I asked the waitress, I said, you forgot things. She goes, don't worry about it. I said, okay. So I give her a big tip. But $44 for steak and eggs was like, that was the bargain I haven't seen in a long time.
Probably be there tomorrow.
Yeah, right? My cheapest breakfast would just be to fly to New York, go to that restaurant, and fly back home for lunch. Great. So this, I don't know, I feel like it's been a little downer of a hot topics, but on some good news, Delta partnered with YouTube to bring ad-free access to a selection of YouTube videos, podcasts. You can watch The Modern Hotelier on your flights now, along with any music on board. Anthony, I'm kicking to you first. Do you think we're going to see more of these partnerships where, you don't have to be downloading all these videos or movies before you get on the plane?
You may not like my take on this because I love hospitality because we always come to things very late. YouTube is the number 2 most visited URL in the world outside of google.com. And we're in 2025, right? Looking at the end of 2025 into 2026. And hot news is that Delta is allowing you to go to YouTube. Like, that's great, but really? That's like saying, I don't know, like you could put gas in your car. It's kind of like silly that it's great. It's great news for Delta. It's great news for YouTube. Love it. Okay. But are we a couple years late?
I thought that same thing reading this article. I'm like, how are we just getting here now? Like, we've had DirecTV on flights for years and years and years, but we haven't had YouTube yet.
Listen, I have owners still saying to me, you think it's a good idea to put smart TVs in? I was like, no, why don't you just put one in where you have to change the channel and get up and just move the channel?
Adjust the antenna.
So we are the best industry in the world, but technology and our industry, we've been challenged.
David, what about you? How excited are you to watch YouTube on your next flight?
Yeah, I'm one of those people who contribute to YouTube being the second most channel or Google, what have you. So for me, I love it. I mean, my hack now is I have to fly American. I know Anthony's a big Delta guy, but American has this thing where you get 20 minutes free if you watch like a commercial. And I use that on flights to LA or Vegas because it's only going to be an hour flight. So what I want to pay, $15-20 for Wi-Fi. And it goes all the way back to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Delta gives you free Wi-Fi.
Right. American's going to do that next year, but
really? They're going to
Yeah.
do it next year. It's like these hotels that still charge for internet service. Nobody wants to go to those hotels. You go to a 3-star hotel, it's free. You go to a big hotel, it costs money. We come to things too late. The only reason that they're doing it is because the consumer's demanding it. That's why they're doing it. I just wish we would do things when the consumer's not demanding it.
Well, what's funny is we can even go back before we wrap this up. Your comment about, did the Algonquin give people a pen to write with? And so how are you going to charge people for Wi-Fi in a hotel? And it is kind of funny when even when you're in, like you're saying, Americans behind the game, even if I get upgraded to business or I buy a business ticket, I still have to buy Wi-Fi.
Right. And just to explain that, when I was general manager, the owner said to me, we're charging for Wi-Fi. And I said, the Algonquin's known as a writer's hotel. It's a theatrical hotel. People come here to write their book, to write their play. The Godfather's contract was signed in our lobby. My Fair Lady was created in one of the rooms in the hotel. I was like, so they would come and we would give them a pen. I am not charging them for Wi-Fi because that's how they write now. And the owner looked at me and goes, that's a good point. Right? So we didn't charge for Wi-Fi, but we were the first nice hotel in New York City to not charge for Wi-Fi because it didn't make any sense to me, right? So I don't want to lose money, but but I was charging $22 for a martini 20 years ago, and I was getting
I was going to say.
but to charge them for Wi-Fi, I just thought that was disrespectful. So I just wish our industry would do the right thing. That's the right thing, not being forced to, because, when you have a resort fee, and you're still on your bill says, well, we give you 1-800 numbers for free, and we give you newspapers, and they don't deliver the newspaper. I mean, who's ever used a hotel phone to make a phone call in the last 10 years? So if you're going to use a resort fee, give value to that resort fee. And we won't mention who's the first person to ever have a resort fee in the country. We won't talk about that.
Okay, good.
It might have been Nickelodeon when I ran it, but we're not talking about that.
Ooh. What was the resort fee? Do you remember what the number was?
For my hotel, it was $22.
For the Nickelodeon, yeah.
It was $22. But you got free pop-up entertainment. You got entertainment at the pool. You got entertainment at night. You got all this entertainment for free. So I felt good about it because there was value. And I never got complaints about it because there was so much value. Now there's no value.
Yeah.
Get 2 bottled waters in the room, and that's your resort fee right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
All right.
We give you two 7 waters in the room. I'm working with a company now that has a resort fee on a lot of their properties, but there's real value. You get free breakfast. You can spend all of that in the breakfast area. You can spend that in the gift shop. You can spend that at the bar. So all they're really doing is trying to keep their business in the hotel, but they're giving it back to you in the restaurant, the bar, and the gift shop. So if you're checking out and you still have $10 on your resort fee, just go to the gift shop and buy $10 worth of stuff. It's not, they don't want to keep your money. They just want you to spend it within their hotel, which makes sense.
Before we wrap it up, I'm going to give a shout out to John, our producer, because we were just in, I won't name the hotel, but we were just on a road trip, and the hotel actually put 2 free bottles of water by the TV stand, and then had 2 bottles of water that were like $7 each right next to right on the nightstand. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, you're thirsty, you drink the $7 bottle of water, and then the other bottle of water, which is free, is sitting 8 feet away from you.
Is that true, John?
It is true.
That's true. They got me. I woke up in the morning, I was like, son of a,
But just tell them that, when I go to a room and they leave me an amenity, and depending on what room if I'm in the suite, I'll grab that $7 bottle of water and go, damn, I have a bottle of water on the table. I do it all the time. But then I go downstairs and go, I didn't have that bottle of water, and they take it off. But I don't do that typically, but I think it.
Be careful about getting free stuff. I did an episode on getting free stuff, and people destroyed me on YouTube. Anyway, so Anthony, we're wrapping up. Tell people what's going
Dude,
on
I've been
with
doing
you.
this
What's
for 40
new?
years, and I travel every week. If somebody wants to give me a piece of fruit for free, I'll take it.
You heard that here first.
People are just going to be walking up to you at the airport giving like their half-eaten
my God.
burger to you now, Anthony. Just wait.
Anyway, since we're telling funny stories, the funniest thing that Bill Murray does is if he goes through an airport and he walks past where people are eating in a restaurant, he leans over and will take one of their French fries and just say, "Who's ever going to believe you?" And then just eat it, and he just keeps walking. Anyway, all right, Anthony. So tell us what's going on with you. Anything you want to talk about or plug away? Anything
still
new?
doing consulting. I'm traveling every week. I'm doing speaking, a lot of speaking gigs, and about to sit down and start the outline for my new book that you don't even know about. I'm actually going to be talking with you guys about a new podcast. We'll talk about that. And I'm working on another project that's a personal project that I've been wanting to write for years and years. That, I wrote a movie in 2008, and so I'm writing an outline probably this year, by the end of the year, on another movie. And hopefully AI will help me and it won't be so arduous this time. I'm taking on projects I want to take on at this point in my career.
What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I'll call you.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, that does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate you and hope to see you again soon. Thanks for joining us, Anthony.
You're welcome.
You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.